friends, and welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you are having a happy frugal day today. So as you can tell by the title of the video, today we are going to be looking at some household hacks that can save you money, because we are all about living frugally, saving money, and of course living to a life of financial freedom. So I'm really excited to share these with you, because these are things that I personally do at home that have saved me money, and I think they're just household hacks that everybody should implement, especially if you are trying to live more frugally. So if you like this type of content, please make sure to hit that like button and feel free to subscribe and join our community. So let's just get straight into the video. So the first thing I would recommend is, whenever you are replacing your toothbrush with a new one, save your old toothbrushes and use them for cleaning those hard to reach places when you're using a sponge or a cloth, and that way it can help with cleaning. So it's all about repurposing and reusing things instead of just throwing them and wasting them away, because as we know, it takes a long time for a toothbrush to decay, so you might as well repurpose it for something that can help you around the house. The second thing I would recommend is reuse any used water around the house. So I know quite a lot of people, whenever they're having a shower or a bath, they won't waste the water. So if you're having a shower, you will use the plug and you will use whatever water is left there to either fill up the cistern in your toilet and use that to flush your toilet. Whatever it is, it's trying to make sure that you repurpose everything that you use so that you can save some money. Now let me know in the comments below, do you repurpose your bath water? And how do you do it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm quite interested in knowing what people do with their bath water. The third thing is, whenever you are using kitchen sponges and they get a little bit grubby or mucky, the first thing you can do is want to throw it away and get a new one. But instead of throwing away the old one, why don't you save them and use them as floor wipes and use them to scrub off any stains or anything that may spill on your floor. Another thing you can do is reuse your disposable bags. Now I quite like disposable bags because a lot of my food prep and my meal planning has to do with freezing and setting aside food to cook later at a later time. And when I'm usually done with the plastic bags, it can be so easy to throw them away. But what I'd like to do is, whenever I'm washing my dishes, I wash them up and I reuse them for something else later on. That way I'm not throwing away plastic and I am saving some money instead of having to buy plastic bags all the time. Now, this tip actually saved me a lot of time. So I have kitchen cabinets that don't go all the way up to my ceiling, and I rarely ever look. And I know I'm not the only person, because everyone tells me once in a while you will look up in your kitchen cabinets and you will see a lot of dust. So one thing that I like to do is, whenever I have any paper lying around that I'm no longer using, or anything that has been sent through the post that I don't necessarily want, I use them to line the top of my kitchen cabinets. And whenever it gathers dust or anything like that, I just scoop that up, and then it makes cleaning a lot easier, because trust me, if you don't keep on top of those kitchen cabinets, then they can gather a lot of dust and you could just end up upset. So the seasons have changed, and if you're anything like me, you are trying to delay switching on your radiators for the longest time, because the last thing I want to do is start racking up bills when I don't have to. So before it gets bitterly cold, what I like to do is make the most of hot water bottles. Now, what's really, really interesting, and I hadn't thought of before, is whenever I need to replace the water in the hot water bottle, I've just been throwing it down the sink. But I just learned a tip that you can actually reuse that water, either to reboil it and put it back in the hot water bottle, or to use it to water your plants. So it's important to store it up instead of just wasting it. Repurpose that water for something else. And then one of my favorite things is, whenever I'm decluttering, or whenever my son transitions from smaller clothes to bigger clothes as he is growing so fast, what I like to do is to give away some clothes, but the clothes that are too old and too used to be given away to somebody else, what I like to do is repurpose them as dusters around the house. So I don't buy specific dusters. I try to make sure I use everything that I can within my home, and that way it's more environmentally friendly, and I'm just using the things that I've already got in my house without spending extra money. And another one that I came across that I've never thought of is, whenever you have got clothes that are too old to either give away, they're too grubby to like be used anywhere else, is to take out the buttons from those items of clothing and save the buttons to whenever you're repairing new clothes or you're thinking about it, or even to recycle those buttons, either make some money or just recycle them because it's good to recycle. But I have never thought about, because sometimes it does help to have a stash of buttons around whenever an item of clothing needs to be repaired. Another tip that I will give you is whenever you have gifts that you are given, especially during Christmas, as you receive gifts, a lot of them come packaged really nicely in ribbons. One thing you can do is to reuse the wrapping paper that your gift has come in, but also to save the ribbon that it comes in, and that way you always have extra ribbon available either for gifts or for wherever else you need it. But the whole purpose is to repurpose that and make sure you are not constantly buying things when it comes to gift making. Now the next one is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm so happy I learned this hack because it has actually saved me quite a bit of money. So I love having candles around the house and I love burning candles. It's just one of the things that just makes me feel relaxed at home, and it just creates an evening vibe that I absolutely love. But I had a habit of, whenever the candle wick finished and I had some candle wax remaining in my candle jar, I would just throw away the jar. And now I learned that actually if you put hot water in the candle jar, the candle wax will rise to the top and you can use that as a wax melt. So I used to buy extra wax melt, so I repurposed the jars around the house, but I also use the candle wax as candle melts, and that way you save money, but it's also environmentally friendly because you're trying to reduce the amount of waste you are throwing away. Another thing is, if you use Brillo pads, I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to find that whenever I'm using them, they can rust and go horrible after a couple of uses. So what I like to do is cut them in thirds, and that way I only use a little bit at a time. If it goes rusty, then it's not a problem and I don't feel like I've wasted an entire Brillo pad. So that's one thing that I would recommend you do, is to cut them as many times as you want and just use the amount that you need. Now this tip is an extreme one for those who like to literally cut down costs, and that is to water down your milk so that it can last for a lot longer and you have a lot more to use. Now let me know in the comments below if you would use this tip or not. I personally don't like watered down milk, and I'd rather just use the milk that I have. But maybe it's worth trying, I don't know, let me know in the comments below. And another thing you can water down, and I have found to work really help, is to water down your washing up liquid, because I do notice that whenever I buy my washing up liquid, it is very concentrated and I only end up using a little bit at a time. But to make sure that it lasts as long as possible, you could water it down, and that way you have twice as much or 3 times as much depending on how much you want to water it down. Now this next hack I absolutely love is to reuse your old spray bottles. So whenever we're buying cleaning products or anything that comes in a spray bottle, whenever it's finished, it can be so easy again to throw it away and just buy a new one. But what I like to do is to keep my old water bottle, strip the packaging, and then use it for something else. So for example, I really like using Zoflora to clean my house, but what I don't want to do is continuously buy plastic bottles so that I can make the mixture in a new plastic bottle. So what I do is I just wait till I've utilized one of my cleaning products, and then I use that bottle for my Zoflora mixture. So I absolutely love this. And you could also use this to water your plants. So whatever spray bottles you have, you can use those to water your plants as well. So this is for my friends who like to have hot beverages. Now, I don't know if you're anything like me, but throughout the day, I boil the kettle multiple times. I'll boil the kettle, I will make a cup of tea, and then maybe an hour or 2 later, I'll come back to make another tea and I will reboil the water, or sometimes I even dump the water and put fresh water in. But it's worth investing in a flask, and this has taught me how much water I waste and how much electricity I'm wasting. Because if I just boil the water and keep the water remaining in the kettle in a flask, that way I have hot water waiting for me. In fact, I could just make a big pot of tea, put it in the flask, and that way I have tea ready for the entire day. So that's something worth checking, whether or not you are using a lot of water and wasting a lot of water in making your hot beverages. And then another one of my favorite is to DIY your furniture before you replace it. It can be so easy if something is broken or if it's discolored, just throw it away and just think, you know what, I'll replace it with something new. Or if you want to change styles and you think, actually I don't like this color anymore, it can be so easy to think, I'll just replace it with something new. But you could actually DIY your own furniture and it could end up turning like the most amazing piece of furniture you have owned. Trust me, I know this. I've done this around my house quite a lot, and you end up with a bespoke piece of furniture because no one else has that furniture in that style, in that color. Another one of my favorite that has saved me a lot of money but is a simple hack is to always have a grocery list pinned onto my fridge. Now the importance of that is whenever I'm using something and I run out of it, I just quickly put it on my list. And that way I know exactly what it is that I need to purchase at my next food shop, instead of thinking on the day, or even worse, thinking in the supermarket whether or not you need it. So that way I always have an up-to-date list of the things that we have run out and we need to repurchase at the supermarket for the next week. So it's really, really helpful to have a grocery list that you constantly update, that is fixed somewhere that you can always see it. Another hack that you can do is to have power on at a certain time, and every other time it is switched off at the circuit breaker. Now this one comes with a huge disclaimer because you need to know how your circuit breaker works, because if you are going to turn off electricity in your house, you have to be aware that you will be turning off electricity in your fridge and freezer, and you could end up wasting a lot of things. So it's important to know exactly how this works. But in my prime, in my frugal prime, I used to make sure that electricity was cut off whenever I was outside the house and I was in the office, and then I would switch it back on when we came back home, and this actually saved me a lot of money. But it works a little bit different now that I'm at home, so consider that one. But I will always say, make sure you talk to a professional before you do that one. And then my final and my favorite tip is to always wait at least 48 hours before you make a purchase online. Now, if you love shopping and you're like me and you like buying things, being frugal is making sure you are not spending way above your means and you are not wasting money. So what I would suggest is, if you are thinking about purchasing something, is to wait 48 hours before you make that purchase, because you will realize in 48 hours whether or not you truly need that item. And that has actually helped me save a lot of money, because sometimes when I'm browsing the internet, it's really easy to just be like, you know what, I want that, I'll buy it. But if I wait 48 hours, I'm more than likely to find that actually either I've forgotten about it, or two, I realize actually I don't need it as much as I thought I did. So always consider that. So these are my 20 household hacks that can actually save you a lot of money if you're considering living frugally. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Please make sure to check out these videos, which will show you everything that I'm doing around living frugally, saving money, and making sure I'm living a life of financial freedom. And until the next video, thank you so much for all your support. Please do take care, and until the next video, bye.